As a recovering people pleaser, it's incredibly easy to lose yourself in other people and fall back into old patterns. And I feel like I've been facing this again and again. And the only thing that's really helped me through this is reminding myself that I need to put myself first, regardless if other people are gonna be upset with me, and trust my own emotions, because your emotions are sending you messages for a reason. They're not just here for no reason. So by actually listening and trusting my emotions, they are my guide. And then last, setting boundaries with myself, so that's a lot easier to set them with other people. Hi, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you're new here. I'm Julia, and in this video I'm going to be sharing with you my step-by-step process that I use to get back to myself when I have either spent too much time with other people and just feel super chaotic in my mind, or maybe somebody in my life crossed a boundary even if I didn't know that that was a boundary for me, or if other people are bringing up my triggers and things that I need to work through. This is the process that I use to validate my emotions and figure out what I need to do moving forward to either keep the relationship or slowly get rid of it, or just cut it completely if that friend or person in my life just is not meshing with me and I'm not meshing with them. Just to give you a little background here, recently I've been trying to integrate myself back into being in community with others. I feel like for the past few months I've kind of been on and off of hermit mode. Sometimes I'll be social and then sometimes just not. So the past few weeks I've been working on becoming more social, making new friends, hanging out with people, being open to interactions with humans in general. And of course, that has brought up a lot of amazing things and getting to have a sense of connection and feel more of a sense of community. But it also has brought up lots of inner things that I am still struggling with, like my triggers and having to set boundaries and making sure I prioritize myself and taking time to myself and making sure I respect my emotions and my feelings and my own time and others, all included in that, which can be a lot and it can get very overwhelming at times. So I created a step-by-step process that I use to get back to me after I feel like I'm starting to lose myself in other people. Now, the nature of all relationships and connections is to be a mirror to you. So if you have stuff that you need to heal, work on, integrate, transform, transcend, whatever, other people in your life are going to mirror that energy right back to you, and they're going to show you your shadows. If you have really positive things, they're going to mirror that back to you as well. They're going to mirror both the positive and the negative. And as humans, we're going to have both positives and negatives that we're going to be mirrored back to us. So it's our job to take that information and do what we can to expand off of it and grow ourselves from it. So what that means is relationships and connections are going to bring up your triggers. So what I'm trying to do now is whenever I feel my triggers being brought up from other people, it's a reminder for me that I need to go within to find the answer. I need to go within to figure out what is best for me, what is best for this connection, and what is best for everyone overall. And then it is my job and my responsibility to do that, even if it's hard, even if it's uncomfortable, even if it feels like it's going to create more disconnection than connection in the moment. You honoring yourself and what is truly best is actually going to lead to better connections in the future. So that being said, let's get into the first step in my process. Step number one is to self-soothe, and I got this from my DBT skills. In DBT therapy, there's a whole bunch of self-soothing techniques that you can use. If you're interested in that, I could always make another video on my favorite ones, or you can just Google it, YouTube it, look it up yourself. The specific self-soothing techniques that I like to use in this case is number one, by calming the overthinking and intrusive thoughts with a mindfulness practice. That could look like a meditation. It could look like just zoning out and staring at the clouds. It could look like breathing in positive energy with my inhale and then breathing out negative energy with my exhale. But my favorite mindfulness practice that I like to do when I'm having a bunch of ruminating thoughts is to do a somatic or body focused meditation. So it could be the breathing one, but I like to do more of like a body scan where I just pay attention to the sensations that I'm feeling physically on my body or in my body. Right now I'm paying attention to my hands and the sensations I feel in my hands. Kind of like a tingle. But doing something like that can really get you out of your mind and put you more into your body, which will help us later down the line with connecting to our emotions, because our emotions are felt in the body, not in the brain. Next self-soothing technique that helps me is to ground in nature. nature. That can look like going for a walk. It can look like going to the beach if you have a beach within driving distance. I love to do the beach because not only am I in a peaceful, serene place, but I'm also barefoot and I could also put my feet in the water. And when you are physically putting your feet on the ground, which you can do in the grass as well, you can do this in any nature, you get to connect to the earth. It's called earthing. There's actually a whole documentary that I recently watched about the healing nature of grounding yourself into the earth and what it can do for you. So I'm gonna link that down below as well. You should really watch that documentary. It's gonna change your whole perspective and you're gonna want to literally stick your feet in the ground every day. But grounding will completely recalibrate your system to align with the earth's frequency. Since we are electromagnetic beings and the earth is an electromagnetic force and we are part of the earth, it's really important that we connect with the earth. It will reset our bodies, it will reset our minds, and it'll help put us into a healing state. Next self-soothing practice I like to do is exercise. For me, that could be a stretch, a walk, lifting weights, playing a sport. I really enjoy playing tennis. If it's a sport that you have to really like talk to other people a lot, maybe don't do that. But I feel like when I play tennis, I'm not really like chatting with my tennis partner. We're just literally like passing the ball back and forth. So I don't mind doing that. You could also do yoga, Pilates, cycling. The options are endless. Do whatever exercise feels good for you. Even something like dancing, like just moving your body can really help get the stuck energy out. And the last self-soothing practice that I like to do is any type of self-care. So that could be like a bath, a shower, putting a hair mask in, a face mask, getting my nails done, getting my toes done, a massage, whatever self-care practice you want to do that's going to make you feel better is what you should do. Step number 2 is to validate whatever emotions you are feeling. Don't try to talk yourself out of them or blame yourself for having them. They are there for a reason. Like I said, emotions are messengers. They're trying to get you to realize something within yourself. So the more you can validate how you're feeling, the better you're going to feel, and the more you're going to accept that you feel the way you feel. Because you need to accept that you are feeling this feeling, that it is valid to your experience, and the sooner you do that, the sooner you can move through it. And you can do this through just telling yourself, okay, it makes sense that I feel like this based off of this. You could also write it down in a journal, however works best for you. So an example for me was I was hanging out with some new friends and I felt like I was talking too much and I felt like I was oversharing just like different details of like my past experiences in life. And when I left from hanging out with them, I started judging myself and shaming myself for sharing too much information. And you know, maybe I did overshare, maybe I didn't. It really doesn't matter. But what matters is I was feeling shame for that, and I was judging myself for that and making myself feel like I was weird or damaged or just like somebody with a bad past. But in reality, we all have things in our past that we're not proud of, that we either did or had happen to us. And once I was able to validate, okay, like sure, maybe I shared some stuff about me that I wasn't proud of, but that's my own shade, my own feelings. They didn't say anything to judge me. I shared something that I personally wasn't proud of that I experienced in my past with new people. It makes sense that I feel a little embarrassed or a little ashamed. That's all. And by me validating that, then I don't need to go back and forth in my head about, was it okay to do that? Was it not okay to do that? Why do I feel like this? Blah, 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 blah. So if it's a case of where you feel like you may have overshared, you can validate that way. If it's a case where maybe you set a boundary and somebody had a bad reaction, you can validate how you feel about that. If it's a case where maybe somebody said something that triggered you or offended you, you can validate how you feel about feeling triggered or offended. Just remember that you're not validating what was said or what was done. You're just validating the way you feel about the situation. So in other words, you're not justifying any words or actions. You're just validating the specific feelings that you feel about it. Step number 3 is figuring out what is true for you. So what are your feelings around the situation? What are the facts of the situation? And when we combined the two together, that is your truth. So first you have to separate everything that you feel and believe about yourself and the situation. These don't have to be true and these don't have to be factual. They're just your feelings and your beliefs. Then we have to write in a separate column, what are the facts? And the facts only about the specific situation and your involvement in it. In DBT therapy, we call this skill wise mind, where you separate your feelings, the logical facts, and then in the middle, we figure out what is wise. So to use my oversharing as an example, my feelings could look like I feel shame about what I experienced in the past. I shared that with other people and now I'm worried that they're judging me. I'm judging myself. I feel shame, I feel awkward, I feel exposed. Then for logical, it would be like, I can't take back what I said. We don't know if they're judging me or not. They didn't say anything judgmental to me. They reacted completely normal. It was just a simple conversation between a few friends. There was no change in the tone of the hangout after I shared my story. I shared my own personal stories, and so did they. So those would be my emotions, those would be the facts, and then if I look at it from a more wise perspective, I could say that in past situations, I don't know if other people were judging me or not based off of things that I said, but in this situation, I also don't know. And if these new friends want to judge me on my past, when I'm not judging them on their past that they shared, then they're not really good friends, and therefore they wouldn't make sense for me to stay friends with them. But in reality, neither of us were judging each other, so it seemed, and realistically, I was judging myself and probably projecting it on them. That's the wise mind that I would come to for this specific situation. And that feels the most truthful and correct to me, because yeah, I definitely felt vulnerable, but that doesn't mean I need to judge myself or shame myself for it. And the judging and the shaming that I was putting on myself, I was projecting on the other people who didn't say anything judgmental to me at all. So it was all within me in this specific situation. But there will be other situations where maybe somebody crosses a boundary, and that will be a different scenario where, you know, maybe it's not in your head and this is something that you are dealing with another person. The wise mind decision for that would look a lot different than, say, my feeling like I was oversharing scenario. Step number 4, decide how you want to proceed from here. So this could look like communicating how the interaction made you feel to the people that you were interacting with and discussing what would be best moving forward. It could also look like setting certain boundaries with yourself, with other people, or communicating needs that you need met, or if the situation is just past the point of no return, cutting those people out. So for me, in my little oversharing situation, my solution moving forward would look like slowing down within myself and making sure that what I'm sharing, when I'm speaking about myself, my memories, my past experiences, feel aligned with me to share and beneficial to both me and the other people that I'm sharing them with. If I feel like it's going to help me, them, and everyone involved, then it's fine to share. But if I feel like it's just going to not make sense for the conversation, then don't share. So that's what I feel like I need to make sure I do moving forward. But also at the same time, sometimes you do want to share something that is more vulnerable that you are going to feel uncomfortable with, and whether that was the case in this situation or not, it's important for me to come back to myself and reframe the thoughts I have around sharing that. Because sometimes you can share something that is really vulnerable and uncomfortable, but it's really going to help somebody. So just reframing your thoughts around sharing and around maybe the shame or the guilt or the negative feelings you feel about the past situation. And also in doing that can help you heal that situation even more. Because the most important thing that you need to do is be kind to yourself and speak kindly to yourself and not punish yourself for things that you can't change. Step number 5, living authentically. So a big part of living authentically means noticing your patterns of others and peeling back the emotional layers through journaling and meditation, or just experience in therapy or talking with a trusted friend. And we have so many patterns that we are conscious of and not conscious of. And the people we are closest to in life will pick up on those patterns even if we aren't. So it is really great to have people that you trust that have your back to show you those patterns in a kind way to help you heal and for you to do the same for them. But if you're not quite there yet with other people, you can still do this work within yourself. It's called shadow work. And whether you're doing it with a trusted person or on your own or not, life will show you your patterns eventually. And it's doing so to help you heal them. So when they come up and you're triggered, that's a pattern for you. And it's coming up for you to heal it. A specific pattern of mine that I noticed recently is not only in my romantic relationships, but it's also in my friendships, is having a fearful avoidant attachment style or disorganized attachment style, where sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel super codependent and need this person. And then sometimes I'm like, oh, I need to avoid this person at all costs. Like, this is so uncomfortable. And it flips and switches with different people at different times in different ways, depending on the experience that I'm experiencing within me and externally. And when this pattern comes up, it is my job to work through the triggers and decide what is best for me and the connections long term, even if others don't like it at first or at all. So an example of this for me is saying no to things that I know I'm going to feel resentful about later, and not always being the nice girl. Because I would rather be respected than liked at the end of the day, so I need to give up the desire of being liked by people so that I can earn respect for myself and from others. And if that means I don't feel comfortable saying something, doing something, whatever it may be, then I have to commit to saying no. It's really hard, especially when you're so used to people pleasing, to try to get people to like you because of low self-esteem. But the only way we're going to raise our self-esteem and have better connections with other people is by honoring ourselves, our needs, our wants, our boundaries, and fully respecting them and ourselves at our core. So that's all for this week's video. I love you guys so much. I hope this helped. Bye!